pleased to commemorate that by welcoming in Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones to the show. A couple of guys who are good friends but don't play together. You are good friends, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. We can get them in Charlotte, might be different.
Don't play together any longer, but obviously have a common bond that you had with the Lakers. Let's start with you, Nick, because as I mentioned in the open, July 1st, but you say that doesn't matter to you. You're a free agent to be. It could change the whole course of your future in the NBA, but you don't think about it?
Not really. I play so much golf and so much Sony PlayStation, I don't have time to think about it. I think that's really secondary right now. But when it happens, I'm sure I'll be just excited and just glad that it did happen. But, as days go by, it's not big on my mind.
Do you want to stay in Denver?
I would love to. I begged Antonio McDyess to come there, so it would be wrong for me to just up and leave him. I would love to stay there as my first choice.
Well, before we get to Eddie, I do want to talk about that because Antonio McDyess, you kind of wined and dined him in Houston and your off-season home. Now he wants you to stay. Can you apply those same principles that you said, hey, come play here to yourself?
No doubt. I really like Denver. It's very laid back, very peaceful, and I think they really want to do things there. I think that the new owner, he's a great guy. He played basketball before at my rival Memphis State, and he's already shown that he wants to build a winner in Denver, and I would like to be a part of.
Well, let's talk to a guy who is not a free agent to be, but Eddie, your ending in LA was so tumultuous and really wore on you. How much of that played into how much you like Charlotte, and how much of it is just the great experience playing in North Carolina?
Well, I just think I was just basically happy to bring my life to a closure here. You know what I mean? I think just going to another situation made me feel a lot better. Made me love the game of basketball again, other than thinking it was strictly a business thing. Yes, I think it's business, but now, I still have that love for the game again, and that's all I was worried about.
You want a long-term contract. You've gone public with that. You think that's going to happen this summer?
Definitely. I think it will. I think, I think every team that was calling the Los Angeles Lakers to get me, there's going to be somebody out there that wants me. And I think Charlotte is the place for me. And I think they know it, and they know I'm happy there. They know what I bring to the ball club. And it's just a matter before we sit down and get everything all written out.
What's the biggest difference, Nick, between your experience here and what's going on for you in Denver?
It's about this big. No, in L.A., it was like just everywhere you went, there's people at your hotels waiting for you no matter what time you got in the morning. The exposure. Now in Denver, it's a very small media market. You're not winning. Fans really don't support you that much. All those things, and it really takes a toll on you. But you got to be strong mentally to get through it.
And for you, Eddie?
Well, I guess it was probably the same way. I think the first day I walked into the Charlotte locker room, it was only 3 reporters there. And I turned around, I was like, man, when I was in L.A., man, it had to be at least 15 guys sitting up in here. And, I laughed about it, but in true reality, that's a great thing for me. I think it's sometimes you have to get away and be in a really quiet type of atmosphere. And I think Charlotte is quiet. It's a beautiful city, and I love it.
Is that the worst part? All the media?
I love it in Denver because, there's not many of them. So.
Well, but I'm saying in L.A. or New York or Chicago.
I just think that could be the worst part when you have guys who really don't know much and just talk like they know everything. So that could be the worst part, but there are a lot of other bad things.
Well, you're a very quotable guy. Does it make it tougher for you?
Not really. I just tune those guys out when I have to.
Right, but you say things, for instance. No coincidence, I think, that you scored 41 against the Lakers. Why suddenly, I know the emotions in there, we see some of the game there. I mean, what was going through your head coming back to the Forum?
I was, just asking all the players, how did it feel playing in L.A., all the players from Denver, and, what would it be like? And, when I was coming there, just looking through the city, I had a lot of memories and everything, and meeting all the security guards again, saying hi to everybody, the fans, they were great. I really appreciated that. And I was just so calm and relaxed out there that it was unbelievable. I wish I could play every game that relaxed, but, the feeling was just unbelievable, seeing all the stars. When I was playing here, I didn't pay any attention to it. I just played. didn't really worry about who was at the games. But, you know, when I came back as a visiting player, it just really hit on.
Did they talk to you? Did Jack Nicholson say anything before or after?
I shook his hand. He said, you know, we really miss you, and, you know, that made me feel good. And, you know, a lot of people that sit on the court side pretty much said the same thing to me.
And how will you feel when you get a chance to come back here and play in the Forum?
You know, I can't even answer that. I may not even feel, you know, to be honest. I may be numb to it, only because the way I left the city. You know, I mean, I thought it was, you know, I mean, being traded or whatever you think is a rejection type of thing. But, you know, I may just be numb to it. Basically, my mind will only be on trying to get a win.
When you see all the names we talked about before the show, Pippen, Gugliotta, Weber, Richmond, you end up getting traded with Eldon Campbell for Glenn Rice, is it hard not to sit there and go, gee, look at these guys. I mean, there's all-stars, and say, well, I'd rather be traded for him because that looks better.
It's definitely not hard to look at. I mean, actually, you know, you have to pat yourself on the back, on the back sometimes. You know, when you hear the names that being mentioned, you know, like, man, can you be that good? You know, and it kind of motivates me. You know, it kind of since I'm in Charlotte, it's going to motivate me to be the best player as possible because they're going to give me the opportunity to be the best as I can be. And that's why that's probably one of the reasons I'm really happy with that situation, because they're going to let me be Eddie. And when they really get the chance to see the real Eddie, they're going to be very, very happy about it.
Nick, one of the things that you said was when Rodman was being signed, they thought I was crazy. Dennis Rodman, who's, you know, one of a kind, has been on the show a couple of times. Let's go to his most recent appearance not that long ago and see what he thought of the Lakers right before he ended up playing himself off of the team. Here's what he said.
Just a lot of things that was wrong, man. Just, you know, when you've been with Chicago, Detroit, and you come here and this guy, you know, when you hear it all the time and all the bickering and the arguments and the selfishness, and I can't work like that. That's bad. That's bad business right now.
Any truth to any of that?
Yeah, he brought some bad business with him. You know, with a team that was going through so much, Dennis could have really helped that team, and I thought that he would. I said that if Dennis comes in and plays Dennis Rodman basketball, and that's just rebound and defend and do the things that he's capable of, they could win a championship. But he did that for, like, you know, the first 10 games, and then the other Dennis came out and he had to take a little vacation. And that really hurt the team. If he would have just been Dennis Rodman, a great basketball player, the rebound that he is, they would have been great.
What did you think of them signing him?
I thought it would be a good thing, honestly. I was there during the time they asked me, and I said that I think Dennis would be great for the team. But I also said the fact that he has to have a different set of rules. You know what I mean? I think everybody needs to know that, you know, if you're going to have Dennis on the team, he has to be on a different type of rules than everybody else, than everyone else. And I think, you know, he did some things, but in the same note, you brought him on, and you said he's going to let him play, and you just got to just let him be him.
Can you accept that, though, that a guy can have, you know, he's a great rebounder, one of the best of all time, but there's other things that he can't possibly do? Why shouldn't Shaq and Kobe and Eddie and Nick have their own set of rules, too? Why can't I go take a vacation?
I think sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and, you know, I was trying to be one of the sacrifices to let him be him, and let him, I mean, whatever he does, you let the authorities deal with it. I think that's the way you have to let him live.
So you didn't have any apprehensions about him on the team?
Not at all. I mean, I played, maybe 10, 11 games with him. I mean, he probably didn't come to practice every day. He didn't. He always showed up late every now and then, and you know, he just lived with it. You know, some days I didn't even know he wasn't there. But you know, he came at game time and he played, and I like watching him. I enjoy playing with him.
Well, as we continue with Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel, we'll talk a little bit more about the Lakers, what their future holds as well. Is a coach worth $6-7 million a season? We'll talk Phil Jackson and the coach they both played for who departed this season, Del Harris, and we continue up close.
Look at our guests. In his one and only All-Star game last February in Madison Square Garden, Nick Van Exel had 13 points. Eddie Jones had a game-high 11 rebounds and scored 15 points, the first time 4 Lakers had played in the same All-Star game. When we continue up close, Nick reflects on his relationship with Del Harris. And we'll ask Eddie if Harris deserved to be fired. When we continue up close. Welcome back to Up Close. We continue with Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones, former Laker teammates, still good friends, I think. It's hard to tell as we go along here, but a Charlotte Hornet and a Denver Nugget. You know, we were talking about in the break, and this is hard for me to imagine. I was saying as a layman who's outside the game, that how can you not resent a guy? If we were in an office building and some guy didn't have to follow the same rules that I was expected to follow, I'd resent him. But you guys said if Rodman doesn't show up for practice, if he acts like an idiot, whatever, as long as he does whatever he does in the game, it's fine.
If a guy comes to play hard every night in a game time situation, I can deal with it.
What does bother you?
You at least have to come to the game.
There you go.
At least come to the game.
That's where the line is drawn. We mentioned earlier about Phil Jackson. Can a coach be worth that much? $6-7 million, 6 years. What do you think he's in for here?
He won 6 championships.
No, Jordan won 6 championships.
My bad.
That was Michael.
Well, I think he's a good coach. You know what I mean? I think he's a guy that everybody's going to respect. I think that's the big thing, is the respect factor, that you're going to have to go out and respect this guy. And once you respect your coach, man, you know, if he comes in demanding respect, every player on the bench is going to love him. So, I think that's what the move was, and it was a good move.
Well, speaking of which, speaking of respecting your coach, you knew this was inevitable. We had Del Harris on the show back in May. Here's what Del said when we assessed. We told him, quoted you about being a cancer. He's got white hair, and there's only one problem with that team. Here's what Del said about his relationship with you.
And we had probably 4 blow-ups in 4 years, and most people who are in a tight situation, and whether it's a marriage relationship or a working relationship, have that when they're in an intense moments. And so overall, I thought our experience was pretty good here.
Did it feel like a marriage?
If it was the Water Roses marriage. When Dale first came to LA, it was great. He didn't try to do anything special. He let us play, and we showed up for him every night. We played great for him. We upset Seattle that year in that first round, and a couple of years after that, NBA Coach of the Year, get a couple big name players, and I don't know where it went, but when he first got there, he was just playing Odell Harris, and then the tattoos, and then the Hollywood. I think it all pretty much caught up with him, and I think it was a lot of pressure on him.
So you saw him change. I mean, that was one of the most incongruous things about him, to see a guy like this, who's an ordained minister, ends up with a tattoo. But I also have a hard time imagining how somebody could have as bitter a relationship with him as you did, because he seems like such a nice, unassuming guy. Why do you think you two didn't get along well?
Dale, he's a very nice guy. He's very, very nice. He's too nice, as a matter of fact. I just thought that, sometimes he was too nice. He just, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, being there on an everyday basis. We had a pretty young team, so we like to play. We like to run and have fun and, just enjoy ourselves out on the court. And we just didn't feel that. We didn't have that coming out in those last 2 years. It was in practices. We did a lot of talking, a lot of standing around, where we had guys who would just cramp up. And, we were so young. We were energetic, athletic. We were ready to go. And that's when we played our best ball, and we just didn't have that the last couple of years.
Did he deserve to be fired?
They started out pretty slow this year. If they knew Rodman was coming, they could at least gave him a little bit longer chance to work with Rodman in the new team. Nobody really deserves to get fired unless you're just god-awful, but, he wasn't that bad.
How'd you feel, Eddie? You were there for that.
Actually, today, I'm still a fan of Dale's. I think what he tried to bring to the ball club was a sense of professionalism. He shouldn't have to go out and try to motivate guys. It's your job. You got to already be motivated to go out and play basketball. And I thought that's what he tried to bring, and a lot of people didn't accept it. And for him to be fired, no, I don't think he should have been fired. But somebody has to be a scapegoat when the team is not doing well, and it always fall on the head of a coach. And that's just the way it's been, and that's the way it's always going to be. And it's sorry I'm very sorry to see him leave. Like I said, I respected him, and like I said, I'm still a fan of his.
Well, then Kurt comes in. You guys go on a 10-game winning streak. Obviously, there was a soft schedule at that point as well. Now Kurt comes in, does a pretty good job, gets them through the first round. They get wiped out in the second round again. And now, hey, we got Phil Jackson. See you, Kurt. How fair is that?
Well, situations happen. And, Kurt fell into a situation where, the Lakers was looking for somebody to be more of somebody that was going to come in and demand respect. And Kurt is a player's coach. And like I said, I like playing for Kurt. Kurt wanted me to stay here, and he's a player's coach, number one. And everybody liked Kurt, but I don't think everybody had a lot of respect for Kurt. And I think that's where Phil Jackson comes in.
That's where Phil Jackson comes in on respect as we go out. We're going to talk with Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones about their college coaches. Bobby Huggins at Cincinnati for Nick, and a man who's about to give a big bear hug to Eddie Jones here, John Chaney, and his continuing influence. And we'll also get their thoughts on the NBA Finals. Are the Spurs as good as they've looked this week against the Knicks?
Up Close is a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, a part of the Go Network, go.com.
Welcome back to Up Close, our remaining moments with Nick Van Exel and Eddie Jones. And Eddie, let's talk to you first about the man we saw hugging you at the end there. You don't just spend your years at Temple with John Chaney. It's a lifetime thing. Is that right?
Exactly. Once you meet him, the day you sign your letter of intent to be there, he's like a father from that point on. And a great father, too. A guy that's going to discipline you, a guy that's going to make sure that you have all the things necessary for you to become the best person in life. And, he was just taught me so much about the game of basketball, the game of life. And I respect him so much and love him dearly.
But you don't have any cardigan sweaters in your wardrobe yet, right?
Nah, I'm trying to get him to burn his now.
Speaking of wardrobes, Mr. Black Turtleneck himself, Bob Huggins, what's the continuing influence of your college coach on you?
I talk to him every once in a while. He's still crazy, but you would never know he was crazy unless you went to one of his practices, because on the phone he's just real laid back and real mellow. Even face to face, real laid back and real mellow. But he's a great guy. Just wants to win. That's all he really cares about.
Do you think he can win a title? National title?
I think he can, but I think now it's to the point where he needs to just tone it down just a little bit, because, when we came in, the players that we had, we could take it. And, we didn't have anything. We had to earn everything that we got. Now the players coming in, they pretty much got that golden spoon. So, they walk around campus already with their heads up. And, they can't take all the abuse that we could take. And I just think he needs to tone it down. He's got a great recruiting class this year. And they can be successful, but he needs to tone it down. I tell him that all the time, but he doesn't listen.
Okay, let's talk about another coach who you went to. We had Dave Collins on the show right about the time that all this was happening in Charlotte. Are you concerned at all, A, with the fact that he said, look, they let Geiger and Vlade go. Now it looks like they bring you and Eldon Campbell, and they're trying to do some things. But Paul Silas seems to have been a total breath of fresh air. You guys just missed the playoffs. What's it like to play for Paul Silas?
It's incredible, man. He's a coach that he gives you all the confidence necessary for you to be successful. And he gives it to the 12 guys he has on that bench. And last time I played for a coach like that was in college, where he just gave you so much confidence to go out there and be successful. I love him. I love him for that. I even put myself on the line. I even said the fact that, I don't know if I would be back here if Paul wasn't here. And, they signed Paul. And, I'm happy to go back and play for the Hornets.
What if Jordan was a part owner of that team?
That has a little a little effect on it also. Jordan part of it, Paul's part of it. That's wonderful for us.
Okay, we got 30 seconds left. Is San Antonio right now better than they were at any point in this season? I mean, are they a dominant team, or is this just they're not facing as good a competition as a normal finals would be?
I think just game by game they get better. Ever since they've been on that winning streak, they just gotten better game by game. I don't care who probably would have been in front of them. They probably would still be doing the same. New York giving them all that they have, without Ewing, with the hurt LJ. They're playing the best they can with San Antonio. It's just too good right now.
I think over the 11 games that they had days off, I think they got, I don't think they're best that they were. I think when they were playing Portland, if they had went right into the championship, they would be dominating. I think it would be at least 20-point victories. I think right now they may be winning by 12 and 13, but I think that team is so dynamic, and when they're clicking, when they got the shooters going and they got Duncan and Robinson doing what they do, they unstoppable.
Of course, if you had beaten the Knicks 1 out of 2, they'd be sweeping you right now instead of New York. It's been our pleasure to have Eddie Jones and Nick Van Exel up close, and take care of that hand. He's had tendon surgery, folks. Nick Van Exel, Denver, where else? We'll find out where he'll be come later this summer. I'm Gary Miller in Los Angeles. Thanks for watching Up Close. Stay tuned for SportsCenter up next.